Is we live? Hold on. Let me take this off here real quick. I think we live. I'm not. All right. Let's see. Let me take this off here real quick. I think we live. I'm not. Hold on. Let me do this too. Yeah, we live. Y'all give us just 1 second, please. Let me mute this thing here. I won't be repeating itself. All right. All right, we'll be back in just 1 second. I'm gonna play some music by one of my good brothers, Yashua Ashe. Is the name of the song is called Ashe. I'm gonna share the show, y'all. Please share the show. Like the show. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
I'm breathing my team, red, black, and green. Queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should. I should. I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green. Queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should. I should. I should, I should, I should, I should. I should. I should. I should, I should, I should, I should. I should. I should. It's time out for talking. It's time to beat the street. Salute the ancestors. I'm standing at your feet. And though I'm not perfect, I'm the truth still. Let me give you the red and the blue pill. I'm a born soldier. Studied to find closure. Before I resurrect, I had the Sankofa. Similar to caterpillars. Live to butterfly. Goals after goals. I'm reaching for the sky. Raised in the death culture. I survived prison. You ain't scared to die, but you afraid of living. Oblivion vision won't let you see me head over cancer. The elevation of the black woman is the answer. I know you fed up, but keep your head up. Power in the numbers, multiply the bread truck. It's all about the application of the information. And is it beneficial to the next generation? I'm repping my team, red, black, and green. Queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should. I should. I should, I should, I should, I should. I should. I should. I should, I should, I should, I should. I should. I should. It ain't about the fame, gotta plant the seed. It ain't about the game, gotta do the deed. I'm yelling race first, organize, strategize. All my people pump their fists, that's the battle cry. I ain't teaching no hate, I'm just loving my race. This false propaganda that they shove in our face, it's making you feel, but tell me why you scared. Need to stop being so emotional to use your head. Check my resume, check my date of birth. I'm an Aquarius, I was born to do the work. Mark Garvey said, rise up, you mighty nation. We the only ones to get us out this situation. Ain't no feelings in business, stop trying to be equal. Create a hustle and spend that money with your people. Ain't no feelings in business, stop trying to be equal.
All right. That was my brother Yashia Ashe. The name of the song was Ashe. Let me change my camera real quick.
Yeah, that's the brother right there, man. He was the former president of the Louisiana division of the UNIA.
Right. He's from Streetport. Louisiana. Yeah. So first, I want to say peace and Black African power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie Research Team TV. I am Kofi Piesie. I want to say ETM Hotel, Dua Aku, Dua Netcha, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riri, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba E Ilagba. I also want to extend honor and praises to the true and living elders because I want to extend honor and praises to the true and living, to the ancestors, and also want to extend honors to the true and living elders according to an African perspective and from an African worldview. Just because you are older than me does not make you my elder. Again, you have to meet those certain criteria and those certain standards in order for me to call you my elder. Before we get into the show, y'all please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. I guarantee you this is going to be a pretty interesting bill, a bill where we all can take something from, we all can learn from. But before we get into the bill and I introduce we'll let Brother Lion briefly introduce himself. If you don't have my book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo, please go to our publishing company, Same Tree Different Brands Publishing website and get Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. If you trying to understand the different elements that make up Kimoyo, what we call Kimoyo, or what y'all may prefer as African traditional religion or African spirituality. Also, go get our 4th edition Spirit Masters, Historical Survey of the Minds of African Warrior Scholars. This title is inspired by the Dinka people of the South Sudan. This is our 4th installment of the Kofi Piesie Research Team. If you're not, we still are in the pandemic, so go get Sean, who is a member of Mossy Warrior Clan and Kofi Piesie Research Team, what SARS-CoV taught you. If you still don't understand what COVID-19 is, or you're not understanding what a virus, how the immune system work, who is spreading misinformation, and etc., this is definitely the book for you. Also, if you don't have Spirit Masters Institution coloring book, this coloring book is for the ages of 16 through 13. It's a learning coloring book. As your children color, they're also learning. It is also available on our publishing company. Go get Religious Belief Revisited, the Tep Hesed edition by Travis Tep Hesed Awu McCrae, who is also a member of Kofi Piesie Research Team. If you want to understand the different concepts about religion, this is definitely a textbook for you. Also, go get our Spirit Masters Institution Comprehension book. This book is available for the ages of 13 through 21. This is a comprehension book. We are trying to raise the level, the comprehension level of our children. Also, if you are rocking with the New Independent African Academy, please go get the New Independent African Academy t-shirts. I would read the codes of conducts and the mandates, but right now I'm not going to read those for, I don't really want to get into that. But the New Independent African Academy hoodies, still kind of cool if you want to go get it, or you want to go get any of our merch, go to our Mboka Family Connect apparel, online apparel company, and get some of your stuff that represents you. If you want Gucci and Dolce and Gabbana, that's definitely not the website for you. But if you want something that represents you and identifies with you, please go to our online apparel online apparel store to get your thing. Again, this is what is atheism? Is religion destroying the world? So we'll be talking about atheism. What is atheism? We'll be discussing it. We'll be going into it. Is religion destroying the world? So we'll kind of be building on that. And then the second part, we'll be talking to our good brother about his various publications and his involvement within the UNIA. All right. Now that we had that out the way, Brother Lion, welcome to Kofi Piesie Research Team TV. Could you briefly introduce yourself to the people that may not know who Brother Lion is?
Yes. First of all, I would like to greet you and your viewers in the words of peace, shalom, assalamu alaikum, hotep, alafia, and as always, race first. I am Minister Lion Blyden. I am the president of the UNIA ACL Buffalo Division Montgomery Burroughs Division number 433. We have been in existence now for 7 years. I am also the division archivist for our division, dealing with the local Garveyite history here in Buffalo, New York. I served for a term also as well as a minister of information for the UNIA ACL and minister of Sankofa Ministry.
Okay, all right. So there you have it for people that may not know who Brother Lion is. Now let's get into the interview. And I'm gonna say this: if you in here with any type of foolishness, I'm not gonna put up with it today. I'm definitely not gonna put up with it today. There's other platforms that definitely. Hold on. Yeah, I do appreciate that, Brother Chavis. Peace to Brother Chavis. He let you know I got a whole outline in the description for anyone who is confused. But like I said, and Chavis, if you see anybody, even Queen Cheetah, if you see anybody that you feel like is taken away from the show, please, discouraging people in the chat from learning, just take them out today. We just not gonna put up with it today. We've been getting a lot of riffraffs over here. So, go over there to the other platforms with that. They love it over there. But over here, we gonna conduct ourselves accordingly over here. So, brother Lion, let's get into it. But first, the first question is, what is atheism? I'm gonna define, you can go in a little bit further, but I'm gonna define real quick what atheism is. Just a quick definition, and then I'll let you kind of go in what atheism is. Hold on, let me go back over here, and I'll throw this up here. Atheism. Atheism is a denial of God or the gods or any religion is defined in the terms of belief in spiritual beings. Then atheism is the rejection of all religious beliefs. So that's just a quick term for what is atheism. But Brother Lion, for you, what is atheism?
First and foremost, I'm big on etymology and the history of words and where, the actual meaning of words, right? So although that definition I would say is not necessarily far off, it was a little it's got some leading words in it, right? Like denial and rejection, right? Mm-hmm. The way that word comes about is theos and a, right? The prefix a.
Right.
So theos meaning God or God system, right? And a meaning without. So really it's literally as simple as that for me, is without a belief in those systems, literally just a lack of belief in those systems, right? Basically without the without proof and evidence for myself to say that I have been convinced of one of the many gods that's out there or one of the systems that's out there. Without that proof, I am now without belief in any system.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that term. And before we go any further, do you want me to share your few slides, your 7 slides now, or you want me to wait before I should have asked you that before I even got into the first question?
Oh no, that the slide discussion is more. The slides that I shared with you is more dealing with the topic of my book and the focus of my book. So when we talk about my book thing, then we can go into those slides.
Okay then. All right. So, man, so it is. So why does atheism carries a bad name, and do atheism, or do atheists have bad character? Because when you talk about this, I got a few slides that I kind of want to go into dealing with atheism and maybe why atheism have a bad name. It definitely have a bad name when we talk about in the United States. United States, I think, is it frowns more upon atheists than any other country in the world, man. But why do you think, it's like I said, it's a two-part question. So, just first answer, and then you can go into why, do atheists have good character? But why does atheism carry a bad name, man? When people hear that name, some people just go completely crazy when they hear that.
I think the part of that answer is if I work reversing what you just said, you said atheism is really hated in the United States. To be quite honest, it's really hated in the East, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like part of the foundation of my book, that is actually the direction of the reason I'm writing my book, is because of how serious it is when you talk about apostasy or leaving religion or whatever. People are dying across the world right now because of that. Now, here in this, it's not quite as prevalent, but you do get that same pushback, that immediate, oh, you are atheist? What? There's no chance for an atheist to publicly be an atheist and actually hold any political office in this country. We already know the stigma that atheism holds in the Black community. Another prompt for me to do this work was I saw there was a clip of a TV show, I think it was Blackish, where they talked about atheism, and basically the atheist man was undateable because he didn't believe in the same God as his family. And there is something to be said about not linking with someone who doesn't necessarily share your same values. I definitely agree with that. But when the values are clearly based on mythology, then there's another issue along with that as far as morality is concerned.
Mm-hmm. So,
and to answer the first part of your question, I think here in America, it's not so much that atheists have a bad rap, right? Because people misunderstand what atheism is, right? Because most people are atheists. The reality of it is the anti-theists are the ones that have given atheists a bad rap, right? So to say now, I'm anti your religion, I'm gonna speak out against your God system and even do anything, any type of actions against you, like whether it be physical, verbal attacks, whatever. Now that's anti. And now if I'm also not saying that I'm atheist and I'm doing those things, now you've crossed two different, those are two different things that are still, they can occupy the same space at the same time, if that makes sense.
Okay. So do atheists have good character?
I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? People base their character on them, on the way they grew up and who they grew up around. You know what I'm saying? No matter what religion that people, like your audience right now, may be watching, they may come from all types of different backgrounds, right? No matter what background they come from, they know an immoral person from that background, right? So, again, there's studies where they study the prison system and say, how many atheists by percentage are in the prison system, openly saying that they're atheists. The reality of it is that number is super, super low. Most people adhere to a religious doctrine. You see the gangbangers all the time, in church, the mafioso is big on the Catholic Church. You know what I'm saying? The Mexican mafia is big on the Santeria and again, the Catholic Church. So when you talk about morality is based on your upbringing. When we talk about an African-centered thing, we talking about a community, a family, village raising a child. So that's where your morality comes from. Me personally, my mother and my father, you know what I'm saying? It would be the worst thing in the world to misrepresent my parents out in the world, to have someone know me as their son, you know what I'm saying, and have it get back to them. Now, both of them are currently deceased, but still to this day, my life is geared toward making sure that they're not misrepresented, that they did a good thing in making me. You feel me? And living that, you know what I mean? Of course, I've had super over the top arguments. And of course, I've probably been quite disrespectful to certain, in reaction usually to certain things. But that's going to happen. That's people that, that's, human nature. But to say to question someone's morality because they don't base it on the same thing that you base yours on, that's literally the basis of wars right now. You know what I'm saying? And throughout history.
Right. And a lot of people, they deem to attach, and I'm gonna read something in a minute, just a piece of something, a snippet from an article in a minute about how people, when they believe that atheists, they don't believe in anything. They just reject the God concept because there's no form of proof or existence or nature of a God, and they attach morality with God in a sense. So if you're rejecting God, then in a sense they saying that you have no more, you have no more, you have no morality, you have no morals in all, because you are not associated or attaching yourself to some type of deity. Am I correct?
You are correct. As a matter of fact, someone in the chat right now is saying that, you know, in certain countries, a Christian could be an atheist. In a Muslim country, as far as a Muslim concerned, a Christian is an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, same thing in Buddhist. So, you know, it's like I said, that's literally the foundation of wars. You know what I mean? And again, part of the reason why I'm doing the book and the research that I'm doing right now, because without because one, oh, you know, let's just go ahead and jump into that real quick. Because once you deem that your morality is the sole morality, and you are the one that holds the morality, when you go to someone else and you find out that they don't believe what you believe, if your system gives you permission to act in any way against those that disbelieve, you would do it.
Right.
And the title of my book is Fundamentalist, right? Because those only fundamentalists truly believe in religion. That's my position. Because the reality of it is, when you get down to core doctrine in just about every religion, nobody's really practicing the thing dot for dot, right? And so when you stray from core doctrine, really in any way, most religions tell you that you're not doing it right and you are already in a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost a no-win situation, because everybody believes that their system is correct. And then it fosters disingenuous conversations when someone has one belief and another person has another belief, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're all just the same. You know, we believe in one universal spirituality that unifies us all. We all have a spirit of God within us." When in reality, when they get to their doctrine and they actually pray or they actually read their scripture, it tells them that there is no accepting others, except for what they've been using in the terminology as far as tolerance, right? Now, see, tolerance is even a tricky term when they talk about religious tolerance, because what you're saying is that you hold the key to truth and you'll tolerate those that differ with you, as opposed to what they pretend is acceptance, right? And so you'll see these people holding hands and, you know, singing songs together and praying together and all that, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Just to be clear, I feel like the social and cultural connection that people get from religion and the positives that they get from it, you know, that's a good thing. The problem with that is that's not the core doctrine of those religions, right? And so, you know, morality is a tricky subject, but no matter what, every time you boil it down, it still comes down to the individual.
Okay. And Robert Rand says morality is subjective. It could be subjective. Yeah, I believe that in my personal opinion, I believe it is subjective as well, more than being objective. Because like you said earlier, morality is basically something that is acceptable. You know what I'm saying? Something that is agreed upon upon a society and accepted upon in a society, of what is good and bad, and necessarily what may be good here in the United States may be bad somewhere, you know what I'm saying, somewhere else. But But before we go any further, hey, again, please, y'all in the chat, I'm not gonna tolerate it today, y'all. Please, man, please get
They tripping in
along
the
with
chat. I can't see.
everybody. Yeah, I mean, get along, man. Let's get along, man, with everybody. But before we go any further, man, I want to throw out some these are some fun facts of atheism population in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna run through these real quick, and then we're gonna get back into it. According to sociologist Errol Kerser and Jaheen Navarra River reviews of numerous global studies of atheism, there are 450 to 500 million positive atheists and agnostics worldwide. 7% of the world population, with China having the most atheists in the world. And yeah, atheists, I mean, China has the most atheists in the world. After World War II, man, you started to see influx of more people gravitating toward atheists and leaving their religion alone. China has the world's greatest atheism population. The Chinese government and the Communist Party official atheists, despite limitation of certain form, the religious expressions are symbol. Religious is not banned, and religious freedom is normally protected under the Chinese constitution. Between 30 to 39% of the people in the Japanese islands say that they are convinced atheists. Religion in Japan has historically been centered around Shintoism, which is based on rituals and mythology surrounding the ancient past of Japan, rather than the all-seeing eye. The land of romance stands from many of the European neighbors, with at least 1/5 of the citizens saying they are convinced atheists. Similar to China, France has a history of a state seeking to reduce the power of religious institutions within their border. Some 10 to 9% of Australians say they are convinced atheists, perhaps unsurprisingly for a country with a strong tradition of secular government. The Sinzek, if I'm saying that right, Republican has some of 30 to 39% of the citizens who's classified as atheists. The weak support for the traditional church religion could be the legacy of the strong Sinzek nationalism throughout the 19th and the 20th century. I'm gonna read I'll read one more, man. Soviet policy toward religion was based on the ideology of Marxism, Leninism, which made atheism the official doctrine of the Communist Party. We'll do one more. Officially, the Social Republic of the what is that? Vietnam. What is that? Vietnam, man. Vietnam is an atheist state and is declared by the communist government. I could read some more, but I'm not. I'm just trying to get some people some clarity that atheism, atheists, percentage of what atheist is, and atheist, man, is worldwide, man. They are everywhere, and and if you look at the numbers, over the past, man, maybe the last 10 years, an influx of people leaving religion and becoming atheists. But you had something you wanted to say?
I do. Some of those things that you mentioned right there are a little bit tricky, right? So, because when you mention the communist parties, right, they are officially mentioned as atheists because they actually try to have sort of what we have over here as far as separation of church and state. But the reality of it is President Xi is a Buddhist, right? And they currently, right now, are murdering and slaughtering Muslims that live in China, you know what I mean, based on religion. As a matter of fact, they're doing that to all Abrahamic religions in that area because they want to keep all the traditional religions in China, right? Because they see the Abrahamic religions as a threat to their way of life and cultural identity. Same thing with Russia. Now, Russia, the Soviet Union, had the communist thing going, but they, through that whole process, were Orthodox Christian. All right. So although the policy was atheism, the people were Orthodox Christian, including the communist leaders and especially Putin. So again, another impetus for what I'm doing with this book right now is dealing with this war that's happening in Ukraine. Part of it is based on Putin trying to reclaim Ukraine as their holy land. So, we can get into that later whenever you like. But,
Yeah.
those don't clarify. Like sometimes when you're dealing with the state-run decisions like that are tricky when they say that they atheist, because when you just look at the leadership and what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? They are pushing, they are purposely pushing an agenda that would back the nationalist religion, which is again a key point that I'm dealing with here. When you talk about the Buddhists in that same area, the Hindus in that same area, they're all doing the same thing to the Abrahamic religions and each other, for that matter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to read one more thing, man, and we'll get into the next question. I want to read this thing while I was talking, but I'm not gonna read, but just a paragraph of this. Hold on. Let's see if I can share my screen. Am I on it? Yeah, I'm on it too. Hold on, y'all. Let me share my screen. All right. I'm gonna read this. And if anybody want this article, man, y'all, I'll send an article or put it down here in the description. Y'all can pull it out of the description. But can you see that, Brother Line?
Not well. I'm trying to see it on my other screen over here. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, it's Atheism and the Basics of Morality by Stephen Matis. I think I'm saying that right. I'll be is it Mason? Might have been Mason. All right, the distraction says people in many parts of the world link morality with God and see good ethics, values, and the important benefits of theistic belief. A recent survey showed that Americans values important benefits for the theistic belief. A recent survey showed that Americans, for example, distrust atheists more than any other group listed in the survey. This distrust stemming mainly from the convention that only believers in God can be counted on to be respected morality. I argue against this widespread tendency to see theism as a friend of morality. I argue that our most serious morality obligations, the foundation of what we call ordinary morality, remains in a place if God doesn't exist. In recent years, some atheists have reacted to society's distrust of them by claiming that atheism accommodates ordinary morality just as well as theism does. The truth is even stronger. Only atheism accommodates ordinary morality. Logically speaking, morality is not common ground between theists and atheists. Morality depends on atheism. So I'm not going to read this. It's really a good article, but I wanted to read that part where he's kind of talking about within the article. He's talking about, let me stop sharing my screen. He's talking about how, and it's another article, man, that I have, but he's talking about how, because I wanted to read that because I asked you the question about do atheists have good character or have morals? That's our question I've been asking lately, and a lot of people associate you can only have great or good morals if you are attached to some type of faith, and this faith has some type of belief. But he's arguing against. Go ahead, y'all. You want to say so?
Yeah, no. I mean, when you pull that back up again, the last sentence, it was the shortest sentence in that whole thing, but the last sentence.
Okay, hold on.
Now that's a real, that's a rough answer. Like I answered it nicer as far as morality and things like that, and why people atheist.
Okay, where you want me to read it?
The very last sentence.
Morality depends on atheism.
Now, the reason someone would make that statement, right, saying that morality depends on atheism, is someone who has studied the things and realized that if you base your morality on religious doctrine, the words of the religious doctrine are actually immoral.
And that's exactly. Go ahead. But that's what he's getting to in the article. But go ahead.
that was just I just wanted to really touch on that part right here, because people see that and it's like, what? And it's like, no, bro. The reality of it is, people that are the most moral people who are religious, like the queen mother in the church and the people that go out there and feed the poor and things like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times those are the best versions of Christians and Muslims and Jews, right? The reality of it is that's not what their doctrine says to do. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you step outside of your doctrine, you're not necessarily a fundamentalist, because fundamentalism means you believe in the fundamentals of the core thing that makes a thing a thing, right? And so the moment you step outside of that, you know what I mean, you are creating your own doctrine. And in a sense, you're saying that you don't believe in the severity of the punishments that will come along with changing the doctrine, and therefore are technically atheists, because you don't really believe in the thing all the way, which is okay, because that's how you get to morality. For example, slavery used to be legal and moral based on what? Based on the Old Testament and the New Testament, and the Quran, right? And so in the more modern times, they realized that that was immoral and they changed it. The moment you change it, you're no longer following that doctrine. I mean, you can make it sound as nice as you want, but the reality of it is the words say what they say. And you know, and that's a tough thing for people to get to, especially folks who haven't heard some of those things in their doctrine, right? I'm sure you know. I don't know how you came up, but I came up Christian.
Yeah,
right?
me Baptist. I came up Baptist.
So they tell you all the stories nicey, right? You don't hear the bad parts until you begin digging yourself. The pastor will every week about a seemingly different topic, right? But never get to some of the Bible verses that blow people's mind when you showed it to them, right? And it's for a purpose. It's because if you knew those things, you probably would start questioning, what exactly did this mean? For example, the one that blew my mind when I was in my journey, okay, my personal, you mind if I just vent for a second? My personal journey was I grew up Christian when I was young. My mother was Christian. My dad was Muslim. When I came up in a Lutheran church, okay? So I was an acolyte, lighting the altar, doing the processional and all of that other stuff, so I used to love it. As I got older, I just, I ran for deacon. I was elected the youngest deacon in my church. All right. So in that process, I'm thinking I want to find the truest form of Christianity. So I'm researching and I'm finding things. And I'm like, okay, this right here. I'm learning about Ethiopia and the Lalibela churches. And of course, we all heard about the Black Jesus thing. And like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about Black people in the Bible. And I remember getting the Bible that had the pictures of the Black, all of the different prophets as Black people and, all of those different things, and in the process of doing that, I had some questions that just were never able to be answered. I was all the way to almost opening my own church, Christian church, with some friends of ours, because we were doing Bible study every week. We was making sure we found, we was bringing stacks and stacks of research papers. But I realized the more we dug, the more things got towards Africa and away from any of those books, which split me from that group because they couldn't see, they did, but they didn't want to because they had to hold on to what they wanted to hold on to. And that wasn't my journey. My process was an honest process. I'm going to try and take the information as it comes, and I'm going to make a decision based on that. When you find something that contradicts, you got to let it go. And once you start finding out where things come from, once you find out the origin of a thing, you can't honestly hold on to certain things. That's why I'm careful when I talk to certain people, because I know folks really, really want to hold on. And you know what I mean? I know jumping into a certain conversation sometimes will completely alter some people's thought process. So I would warn anybody that's on on the call right now that or watching the video right now, it's about to get to the point where you might want to have an adult in the room, a parent in the room, or exit.
Yeah. But okay. What is is atheism and agnostic the same thing? And for the record, I'm not an atheist. I would be, like I said, I would be one. I would be an agnostic. So, and I'm one in particular, and those who may say that they are agnostic, those are people that believe there is no known evidence, and there probably will never be any evidence of any of the existence or the nature other nature of God outside the natural phenomenon. I have no faith, but I don't disbelieve in God. I'm up to me personally. I'm up to, if there's any evidence that ever come out, I'm willing to accept that there is an existence of a God. But right now, it don't float my boat one way or another. I'm not saying it's a God. I'm not saying it's not a God. I just know right now there's no evidence to prove the nature or the existence of God. So I am a agnostic and not an atheist. You do have some people that say that atheists are still agnostics, and we could talk about that. And I have a few slides that I want to kind of compare and contrast with the do's and the don'ts, an atheist versus agnostic. But what are they the same? Are atheists and agnostics the same?
No. Again, you got to go back to that etymology thing. Remember earlier I mentioned about anti-theists, right? People who are against religion, versus people who just don't have religion, who are atheists. Now, the same with agnostic, the word gnosis means to know. And again, the prefix a is without know or without knowledge, meaning I don't know. So the reality of it is everybody's agnostic because nobody knows. I mean, that's the one thing pretty much everybody can agree on, if they're being honest, that nobody really knows the truth about the beyond, the hereafter, if there is an afterlife, whatever was happening before our universe. Nobody knows any of those things. So the reality of it is everybody's agnostic about those things. So again, atheist is just saying that I just don't believe in a specific thing, right? So atheist is specific, right? So, for example, let me ask you this: do you believe in Thor and Odin?
No, I don't.
And you are atheist to the Norse gods, right? So I was to go down the list, you atheist to all of those different things, meaning you do not believe, you are without belief in all of those. And then until you figure out which one, you do believe in. And that's really, that's why, people make a joke like, oh, everybody's atheist. I might even title one of my chapters that, because the reality of it is, until you have a full, if I ask you a question, if I say, do you believe in God, straight like that, and your answer isn't in a definite yes, then you are atheist and agnostic, right? Just by definition and how the words go,
Okay, I'm gonna throw this up here because I want to, just make it educational too. This is in the book of God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, suggests that the spectrums on 7 levels of belief in those who believe in God to those who do not. The 7 categories are strongest theists, de facto theists, learning toward theism, completely impartial, learning toward atheism, de facto atheists, strong atheists. The 7 categories: strong atheist, which is someone with 100% probability of God being real. I mean, theists, I said atheist, strong theists. All right. De facto theists. I don't know for certain, but I strongly believe in God and live my life on assumptions. Learning toward theism. I'm very uncertain, but I am inclined to believe in God. completely impartial. God existence and non-existence could be both, could be both be possible. Leaning toward atheism, I do not know whether God exists, but I am inclined to be skeptical. De facto atheist. I don't know for certain, but I think God is very improbable. And I live my life on the assumption that he is not there. Strong atheist. I know there is no God. All right. Atheist versus agnostic. Go ahead.
So real quick, you could that list right there. So Richard Dawkins, when he wrote that list right there, if you want to just go back one slide, the person who wrote this, Richard Dawkins, when he wrote this, basically, first of all, anything between 2 and 6 on this list is agnostic, right? So
you said 2 to 6. Would you could say that? You could say that, right? Because if you go, you could say that.
It's cut and dry. It's either you are or you're not. Now, right. Richard Dawkins himself placed himself at number 6 on this list. Okay, and he was one of the most vocal atheists. He almost was an anti-theist, but he claims himself to be a de facto, meaning a strong agnostic, right? Also, I would say that he mentioned that the completely impartial designation is really not really possible, right? So you really can't have a 50-50 on this, right? It's you either leaning towards it or you're leaning away from it, but nobody's really 50-50, because if you sort of believe that there's a thing out there, you behave in a certain way, right? So I just wanted to say that. You can go ahead.
All right. Hey, Tudor, kind of keep it down, Tudor. All right. Let's go into the atheist versus agnostics. The word agnostic derived from the Greek word gnosis, which means to know. You said that a while ago, and the A, which is used to the state of the opposite, which you stated earlier. Agnostic is a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or the nature of God or anything beyond the material phenomenon. A person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God. It's just a basic definition I got from the Oxford Dictionary. Okay, English biologist Thomas Henry Huxley, who lived in the 18th century, first introduced the word in 1876. We're talking about the word agnostic. During the meeting of the British Metaphysic Society. And the English so Huxley's definition was as follows: agnosticism is of the essence of the science, whether ancient or modern, and it simply means a man shall not know or believe that which he has no scientific grounds or professing to know or believe. Atheism and agnostics, head-to-head comparisons, key differences. I just wanted to throw this in here, just some fun facts for the people, hold on, let me see if I can. Okay, that's better. All right, atheism. You got number 1, and atheism does not believe in any God. We know that. Agnostic does not make the claim to know whether God does or doesn't exist. Number 2, the lack of proof God is enough proof. The lack of proof of God is enough proof that God does not exist. For agnostic, does not determine the existence or the non-existence of God through proof. Instead, only states that we cannot know, or therefore God cannot or cannot exist. Atheism, number 3, atheism is a lack of belief. Agnosticism is a theory of knowledge that supports different belief systems. Atheists. Atheists, number 5, atheists often associated with strong conviction that will only change after proof from other views. Agnostic carries about what is possible to prove as a living person. Number 6, atheism claims that we as people are here Here now without a great purpose, and after death there is nothing. Agnosticism, following the same views as with the existence of God, but that it might be possible for life after death, though it is just as unlikely. Atheism, number 7, will often criticize agnostics for not taking a firm stand. I have had a few brothers who wanted me to take a firm stand. Agnostics might criticize an atheist for being too extreme in their views. That's just a list, something I wanted to do, just some comparison. Go ahead.
So that right there is a little bit pulled out. It's a little stretched out, right? Because the reality of it, if you look at the list right here, you see number 3, atheism is a lack of belief. You don't need nothing else on that list besides that one right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think some of them add some things that don't necessarily need to be there, because there's no real strong convictions that need to be changed. It's just if evidence is provided, like you said, things will change. Criticizing an agnostic for not taking a firm stand, now that's funny. But like I said to you when we was on the phone in the beginning, most people that claim to be atheists would also say that they're agnostic atheists as well. Like I said, if evidence is presented, you change your position. Otherwise, you're just not an honest person. That's a whole different discussion.
Right. Hold on, let me get back out. All right. All right. So let's get into number 4, man. We was having a conversation over the phone, and I thought, the conversation was interesting when we was having the conversation over the phone a few weeks ago. And you said religions is destroying the world. So can you break that down, man, for us, man? Is religions destroying the world? And if there is, how religions are destroying the world?
Well, we just spoke about one in the beginning, talking about morality, right? That's like sort of the focus of some of the questions that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, if someone feel like they have the objective morality, that means that everybody else is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have I'm not sure if you had people seeing this conversation between a Christian and a Muslim, or a Hindu and a Buddhist, and things like that. It's super cordial, and they respect each other, and they talking to each other real nice and things. But when you get down to how you make it to heaven, you know what I'm saying? how your soul is saved. You know what I mean? If you believe in those things, the path to get there is laid out step by step in certain doctrines. So when people, just like the time we just talked about right now in China, you know what I mean? And again, trust me, the focus of this is African people, and African American people. I give China as an example. I give India as an example, because those pretty extreme. But we can easily just take it over to Nigeria, where Boko Haram and the other Muslim extremist groups right now are overrunning Nigeria. As a matter of fact, yeah, go to those slides real quick. Let's run through that real quick.
Which one, yours?
Yeah, just go to the first.
The first, I start with, I think, number 3. This right here. It's the first.
Yep. Are you able to? I'm not sure if your people can see it. Let me see how it look on the big screen.
I enlarging it so they can only just see that.
Okay,
it's real.
Okay, so if you look to your upper left right there, what you're seeing is the actual painting of the Council of Nicaea. Okay, so the Council of Nicaea, everybody's sort of familiar with that word and those words and that terminology, but we sort of confused as far as what happened there. So what happened there was the Emperor Constantine called the Council of Nicaea to discuss doctrine. Okay, back then in 325, they wanted to discuss the divinity of Jesus. All right, whether he Was he a single man, or was he the son of God, or was he part of the Trinity and all this other business? That's where they discussed that at. All right. But if you look close, you see them gathered at the Council of Nicaea. That's 325. Now, I'm framing it this way because I'm framing everything in a religious fundamentalist and a nationalist mindset that has been infecting the world. And this is just an excellent starting point. There's different points in history we can start at, but this is just one graphic one that specifically Black folks will resonate with. Right next to that, you see the images of the Crusades, where the Crusades started in 1097, where they had to recapture Nicaea from the Seljuk Turks. Okay, so now, again, to the upper left, you see the Council of Nicaea. This is where they're creating their doctrine for future Christian generations, right here. All right, they're solidifying the Trinity doctrine right here. And then in a matter of 700 years, it's overrun by Muslims. So they have to start the Crusades and go retake Nicaea. Down to the bottom there, you see in 630, Muhammad destroying the Kaaba. To the bottom left, that's what that image is. I don't know if you could zoom in a little further for them so they can see. You'll see that there's it's okay. They'll be able to pause on it. But you'll see the idols around the edge of the Kaaba. Okay, and you see the Muslim Muhammad and his followers coming in to knock down the idols. And in the middle there, you see there's another depiction of that same event. I put that up there because that was Islam beginning its holy land and its doctrine, right? When they came to so-called reclaim the Kaaba. I say so-called because I question that later on in the book as well. Right underneath that, you see the city of Rome. All right, so they had the Council of Rome in 382, right? So we're going back up to the timeline for the Europeans now. In 382, they had the Council of Rome. Now that's where they discussed the books of the Bible, right? So the apocryphal books got thrown out and certain books got kept or whatever like that. Everybody knows that story. Boom. That happened in 382. Same time, well, actually a little bit before then, right next to it to the right, that's Constantinople. That is them, that's Rome decreeing that Constantinople or Asia or Russia gets to be its own, not Russia, Ukraine gets to be its own religious head. Okay, so just like the Catholic Church has its Pope, Constantinople, the Eastern Orthodox Church, let me be specific, Eastern Orthodox Christian Church of Constantinople, right? They have a patriarch. All right, boom. Now, that's important in relation to what's happening today in the world. Go to the next slide, please. All right, up at the top, you see in Nigeria, I was just talking about Boko Haram. To the top right, you see Boko Haram in Nigeria. But to the left of them, you see the Almoravids overrunning ancient Ghana in 1076. Remember, they was overrunning Nicaea in between that same time up to 1096. Here at the same time, they're overrunning Ghana, the last kingdom that was a traditional kingdom in West Africa. Correct, Brother Kofi?
Mm-hmm, I'm following.
Yeah, I mean, make sure I'm correct, though. I know you're the historian for real, so I just want to.
Yeah, I'm checking. I'm gonna go back because I got some, just some questions, but I'm following it so far. Yeah, your timeline, man, is it's right. I'm on it, and I want to give, even with the information that you given, I want to give like I said, I always try to make everything a learning lesson. 2 books that talks about some of the very things that you're talking about with the Council of Nicaea, all those different councils, and even, the Arabs and so far coming in. But we'll talk about that. Go ahead. I don't want to stop you, Bill.
It's okay. If you hear something though, make sure you correct me, because I'm always, like I said, I'm always down for be corrected with the correct information. Mm-hmm. But right now, you see people hear about, just so y'all know what I'm talking about, if people aren't familiar, in West Africa, we grew up hearing about Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Okay, those was the last great kingdoms of West Africa, right? When we talk about Ghana, that was the last one that was practicing traditional African religion from the ancient time. Once that was destroyed. Mali, etc. Those were Muslim countries. So it began here with the Almoravids. Well, it didn't begin there, but that's where it ended when they finally conquered ancient Ghana. And you see them to the right, Boko Haram to the right there. Now, the reason I'm tying them so close together is not just because they're in Nigeria, not just because those are black Muslims oppressing their own people in our homeland. How those are the Boko Haram has made a connection with Al Qaeda, with specifically with the Al Murabu team. The Al Murabu team are the Arab Muslims who feel like they connect with the ancient Almoravids, right? And so because they have the Muslim Brotherhood, because they all, recite the Quran correctly, because they believe in the strive verse, the sword verse, Surah 9:5, and others, because they, if you notice the flag there, it's not the crescent and star, it's, the word Islam or the word, peace or whatever they want to say it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because they have those types of connections, it's nothing for them to go ahead and connect with Al Qaeda. I'm sorry about that. So that's where we at right there. So I just put that connection in right there because that right there, if ever there was a thing, now there's multiple things we're gonna get into, but if ever there was a reason why we have to question non-African origin religions, this one is here. The reason we don't have ancient artifacts out of West Africa like we have out of other places and like other cultures have in their places is because of the religion that came in and destroyed it because their morality was supposed to be better than ours. So moving forward, though, we spoke about the Pope in Rome giving the Patriarch of Constantinople his orthodoxy. You see the current Pope and the current Patriarch of Constantinople right there to the left. Down there to the right, what you see is Putin with the Patriarch of Moscow. Now, the Patriarch of Moscow runs the Eastern Orthodox Church in Moscow. The Russian people take their heritage from when their original emperor, Vladimir, another Vladimir, right, was baptized into the Eastern Orthodox religion. Guess where? In Ukraine. Okay, they feel like Ukraine is their holy land. So guess what they're doing? They are right now, while we're talking, launching bombs and missiles, trying to reclaim their holy land. All right, go on, move to the next one real quick.
Okay.
These are some familiar images. You can get back into America now, right? You see at the top left, the Salem witch trials, which really started in England, but whatever. Right, those right there specifically are drawings from the Salem witch trials. All you gotta do is accuse somebody of something, and they could be tried for being a witch. And if they didn't survive, if they survived the test, they were a witch, and if they didn't survive, they weren't, but they was dead. Right? You go down, and that was in 1682. Where were black people in America in 1682? What were we at that time?
He was enslaved.
Exactly, clearly. Okay, moving forward. Right there at the underneath that, you see book burnings by the Nazis, okay, in 1933. All right, that's here in America and over in Germany, they were doing that, right? Because remember, we had Nazi sympathizers here in America as well. All right, book burnings. Why do you burn books? Because the things in those books are anti the morality that I'm supposed to be teaching, okay? Up to the right, you see what? Jesus saves and the cross and all of the Klan members in the church. Why? Because they feel like America is a white Christian nation. This country was built for white Protestant men, white Protestant landowners, yes. And so they built their security force, their mobile patrols based around maintaining that origin, their holy land even. Look underneath that. You see the result of that. Black people hanging the strange fruit from the trees. Next slide.
Mm-hmm. You muted. Hold on. You muted yourself.
I'm back.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we're on the next slide. All right, so right now, what's happening right now? This is literally like 3 weeks ago. This guy, Pastor Greg Locke, literally started a witch hunt here in in Tennessee. Okay, I'm not sure if you or your viewers have heard about that, but his accusation was that there was witches in his church and that he would expose them. He later did call out the names of the people that he said was the witches in his church, right? And that's just one step in the direction of the same thing that was happening before. Right underneath that, you see that same pastor organized a book burning last year. No, matter of fact, I think that was earlier this year, right? And up in the right-hand corner, you see the cross of the Crusades. That right there was at the January 6th insurrection. All right. Now we're going to deal with the insurrection a little bit more in a couple seconds. But again, you see that person right there, if nobody else, you see that person right there felt like he was a part of what? The Crusades to reclaim some Holy Land. And underneath there, you see clearly the black victims again of all types of, anytime you see white nationalism, you see our victims piling up first. Go on to the next one. So current events, making sure people see what was going on. Well, not current events. This was a couple years ago, right? But this is how we get to the current events. Hopefully your viewers remember when Netanyahu was gifted the embassy so he can continue his persecution of the Palestinians over there under the guise of Zionism. Why? Because they feel like that's their holy land. Again, you see him with the Pope verifying that they are the Catholic. Everybody knows that the Vatican is its own city, so they're their own sovereign Catholics, right? He's validating that. You see down here at the bottom left, you see him standing with the Muslim leaders of the world, holding his hand on the glowing globe, right? The most crazy picture I ever saw in my life. But if you look at it, you can see it's just madness. They all standing around. You can understand what they must have been thinking at the time when they took that picture. You look right next to it, you see him pandering to Putin, because technically, and he was supposed to, as far as the plan is concerned, as far as white evangelical nationalism is concerned, Trump was supposed to still be in power while Putin is doing what he's doing right now, because Trump and his followers are trying to make this their Christian holy land. You hear them talk about it all the time. America is a Christian country, right? We're going to get to that in a second too. Matter of fact, go on to the next one. No, go back one.
That was it.
Oh,
and then,
you know what? Refresh it. You might not be getting the new. That's yeah.
That's the new one you sent me. I downloaded one, and then you uploaded those other two pictures that was on the front. You sent me one with
it's
7,
okay.
and then you sent me one with 9.
Yeah, this probably, I think I might have added this one got 10. I added another picture. That's all it is. It's okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to share this picture on your page. The picture, matter of fact, I can show it to you through my camera. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let's see how to do this. Oh, I don't know if I can. I have to do this. Are you able to see that?
Hold on, let me do this. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, boom. I can see the reflection. Okay, boom. So if you look at the flags first, that's the flags is important. These were the flags in the images. Let me see if I can get it. Okay, boom. These are the flags that were waved on the January 6th insurrection. Okay. What you see at the top is the Don't Tread on Me. You see a couple other ones that may be familiar to you, the Blue Lives Matter, the upside down American flag. Down here at this one, right? You notice the black symbol in the middle there is an ancient Norse rune, R-U-N-E. Okay, that's going to be important in a second. But what I want you to see is these is all nationalist flags that represent, all of them represent a white Christian nationalist agenda. Even this one down here, where you see Blacktivist, are you able to see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so Blacktivist was a Russian-sponsored organization that I think it was 2015 that they started doing propaganda here. You remember hearing about how Russia hacked our elections, but they didn't interfere? You remember hearing that?
Say it again. I'm sorry. They're Russell what now?
Do you remember hearing that Russia was able to hack our elections, but they did not interfere with the result?
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't do no research on it to see what it was all about. But yeah, I did hear about it.
One of the reasons they know that is because they got caught trying to influence black community groups to go protest and do little wild political activism under the name Blacktivists. You can look this up. Anybody can look this up. Russian hackers tricked black people across the country by using this thing right here, Blacktivists, and other things as well. But this is just an example. All right. And again, like I said, I believe it was all part of a plan to try and do a certain thing here in this country. Here is an example of the type of thing that I'm talking about. Hopefully that's coming through pretty clear. You see a church where the people have AR-15s. Okay. If you people that's watching this right now, if this is not coming through clear enough, you go to just Google AR-15 church. Okay. The big story that I had that was coming out of that was that I saw coming out of that was back in 2018. Okay. Now in 2018, I'm seeing the story. I'm like, yo, these people are crazy, man. They got a church where they worship. They got the guns in the church, and you know what I mean. Like you've seen the memes with the white people. They got the Bible and they got their gun. They got the flag behind them, right? Everybody's seen those memes, right? Well, actually in church with their guns, right? They're actually out here doing the thing. Training. You see the videos of them training with their children, hitting the targets, rolling in the ground, right? It's all based around an American Christian nationalism and fundamentalism, right? Now, I'm not saying that they have the right interpretation of their Christian nationalism, right? But it don't really matter because the result will be those swinging bodies that we just got finished seeing. So when I say that it's ruining the world, originally, I mean, I'm talking about originally when we first talked about this, and I told you I'm writing a book and I'm doing the research for the things, right? Some things hadn't even happened yet. You know what I mean? It's things coming out right now, literally based on religion. It's like, wow, these people are bananas. You know, and it's all because they had this delusion that their morality is correct and everybody else's is incorrect. And go ahead.
No, I was just saying you see that throughout their history. You see that all throughout history that they had the correct morality and everybody else's morality wasn't it. You know, that's why they base certain things. You look at they base with the churches. They based, you know, their morality. It was legal for them to enslave other human beings because they did not have the morality and did not believe in their faith or their gods wasn't the superior God, or you know what I'm saying, or the mighty God. So this what they was doing was not immoral. It was a moral act for them to kidnap other groups of people. You know what I'm saying?
And that point right there, I don't even want to interrupt you, but that point right there is another reason why it's detrimental to the world, because now consider this. If we in a village, right, we talking about how great our God is and ... he'll protect our village and we're boom, 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 boom. And then somebody come in and be like, yo, our God is better than yours. And they beat us. And now we subjugated to them. At some level, psychologically, their God really is better and stronger, right? Which has happened to Black people. The reason we have forgotten about, the reason you are employed doing all this African research, because Black folks done forgot African history so bad, because it might have a psychological proclivity to want to forget, because we don't feel like Africa, or anything in Africa can help. Remember Malcolm said, you lost your mind in Africa.
Yeah, let's go on, man. We at the hour and some mark. Let's get into you have you written, man, several publications, man, and we gonna come back around. It's gonna swoop back around right at the end where we're talking about religion and we're talking about atheism. But I wanted to get into, man, you have several publications. I'm gonna reshare my screen real quick. Let me go back. Man, you've written several publications. Can you talk about your books? Well, let's talk about the first. Let's just talk about all your publications. Name your publications. Let's talk about your publications, and then the last publication. Let's kind of talk about the religions questions and the questions religion. You have a book called that. So, but let's talk about, just leave that one at the end. Let's talk about the other publication that you got.
Yes, sir. Well, actually, what you have on the screen right now is actually our local Black newspaper, one of our local Black newspapers, the second oldest here in our city, the Challenger newspaper that has us featured our division, where we basically, like I told you before, we are keeping the history of the local history of the UNIA here and Garvey's activities here, and that is our division flag. Underneath that, though, is actually the book that my wife compiled. She is the matron nurse of the Black Cross Nurses here in Buffalo, New York. So that's just a basic study guide. It was originally compiled just so we can have a reference for our local nurses, but it's available to the public as well. You want to go to the next slide? Just run through them.
Okay.
So so basically it's a little scattered because I didn't have much time to really fit things the way I wanted to. But so if you look at the upper left right there, that right there is called the Pan-African Bible. I mentioned in the beginning that I am a minister of Sankofa Ministries, minister being assistant, administering, and helping to deliver the message. Sankofa Ministries, our motto is our heritage is our doctrine. So in that book, we list basically the same order that the Quran and Bible is in. So like Genesis, Proverbs, First and Second Kings, it's sort of the same way in the Quran. So we use those same headings that's in the Quran, stories and narrators, the B, etc. And we broke down using African inspired things. So instead of the stories that you would find in First and Second Kings of the Bible, you find an African king's lists, a queen's list, things like that. So things a little bit shaken up. Where you see Proverbs is actual African proverbs, Chronicles is histories of different regions of Africa, and even Genesis in the beginning is about the origins of African people in our diaspora. Next, you see there a bit of a conglomerate, a couple things going around the edge there. Those 6 books around the edge, the smaller ones, are informational internal books. Actually, they're just compilation of historical documents, loan receipts. Back in the 1920s to the 1940s, the UNIA used to be able to, the dues that was paid into the division was able to be given back to the members as a loan for businesses, etc. So those are some of the things there, some of the affiliations, and we had a lot of pastors that was involved, sort of like local history heroes that people weren't aware of. Some of this history was purposely hidden because of the Black nationalists. Next, real big in the middle there, you see the Buffalo UNIA ACL history book. That was us compiling the history from 1920 up until present day at that time, which was, I believe, was 2016. Right next to that, you see my favorite book. It is the Coronation of the King and Queen of Africa. That title is a play on, it's really the same title as a play that Marcus Garvey did back in the day, but that play has since been lost. So I used that title with a subtitle of Legendary Weapons of Africa. It was my idea with this book that if African history and African stories are told with sort of like the same fight scene drama that some of these movies and comic book go with, that it would be more, it'll be received easier by our children and some of our adults, to be quite honest. So you see there, it's sort of hard to see all of them, but you see the different weapons that I found from around Africa that we focus on in the book. And it's more of a fantasy, but it's playing on actual historic events and historical figures. Next, the top there, again, I play on a Garvey title, A Philosophy and Opinion by Lyon Blyden instead of Philosophies and Opinions by Garvey. Basically, that book is focused on my theory that we are a new race ever since the Ma'afa, or the Great Tragedy, which is the Arab and transatlantic slave trade, as well as all of the atrocities that we've suffered as a people up until right this moment while I'm speaking. Ever since the beginning of those things, we are a new race by the terminology and the definition of what a race is, right? Races basically adapt and come about based on their closeness and the having to adapt to new environments and new stimuli. If ever there was a group of people who had to adapt based on new environments and stimuli, it would be the African people, specifically those of us that was taken in the diaspora. So that was the theory in that book. And you said you wanted me to leave the last one for last, and that actually was my first book that I ever wrote. It was called Religion of Question, A Question of Religion, a preliminary look at comparative religious studies. Basically, I found it was the beginnings of what I'm doing right now, actually. But it's sort of, I found out all of these different religions. I'm fine, like I told you in the beginning, I was a Christian, I was a deacon. When I left the church, a lot of people leave the church, mad at the church and cussing the church out and cussing out all the way religion. But I actually left and started studying Rastafari. Like I said, I got into the Black Jesus, Emperor Selassie and things like that. And so I got into that, and then I ended up getting into Ifa things, and trying to find an African spirituality, right? What was the word? Kimoyo was the word you used earlier, right?
Yeah, that's the word that we trying to coin. It just describes, it, in our opinion, me, Black Panther, and Brother Asar is trying to champion this term because it better describes our tradition. Like I've been saying this for the longest. African traditional religion, African spirituality. I have some contentions with those words. African traditional religion, I talk about this in my book. We have no agency over that word. That word was created by a white European from London who created the word African traditional religion, and it was championed by John and Beatty and another African scholar who championed it on trying to get the Western world to recognize African traditions as a religion. Because again, like you said, when you go and you look, they enslaved us because we did not believe in their God. So anything of indigenous that we practice, they said that that's just when you start to see later on, I think in maybe the the early 17th century, late 17th century, they started terming the word Almighty God, a supreme God, because they wanted their God to be supreme over any other gods. You see what I'm saying? And this white European who went to Africa, he went to Ghana, he went to I can't think of I think he went to either Benin. It was either Benin or Togo. I can't remember which one, where he studied there for a while. So he came back a radical white guy who was trying to fight against Western society to get African traditions recognized. So he come up and coined the phrase African traditional religion. And John and Beatty and the other African scholar who's from Ghana, he's escaping my mind right now, who also went to the same school that this white European did at the time. They championed the word and coined the phrase, or got the phrase popularized, and then got the word African traditional religion into universities over here in the United States. And then the United States started accepting it, but they used this, it still was separate, African traditional religion, and et cetera. So we have no agency over that word. And African spirituality, this is something that we created over here. But when you mention African spirituality, what are you talking about? Because there are you got 4,300 ethnic groups. So out of those 43 ethnic groups, everybody, the traditions are similar, but they're not exactly the same because of the geographical locations.
Exactly.
And so are you talking about Kumi? You know, what are you talking about? Are you talking about Gulu Wankulu? What are you talking about? Are you talking about Odinani? Are you talking about Osheshe? So a lot of those things, are you talking about Fataru? What are you talking about? And I can keep going on. So African spirituality, what were you doing? We since we didn't have a connection and understand what the name of those traditions are, actually what was practiced within those traditions, we just encased them all into one, and we utilize the word spirituality to rebel against the word religion, because during the 17th and the 18th century, when we started to come, we started to rebel against religion. We didn't want to use the word religion anymore. So we still do it today. Nah, brother, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. You see what I'm saying? So the religion became a trigger, just like other words become a trigger. So
Yep.
instead of using the word religion, we use the word spiritual, or we use the word spirituality. So I just have an issue with those terms, even though one of them we don't have no agency, and one we came up with. But what are you talking about when you're talking about African spirituality? Because you encase in all of them, and they all resemble, but they are different. So which one are you talking about? So we just using the word kimoyo, and even with the word African traditional religion or African spirituality, the Europeans, they use derogatory terms when they defining African traditional religion, and they defining African spirituality, and they using the word like primitive, and they're using the word like idolatry, they're using the words like dang, was on the tip of my tongue, but they're using all kind of different derogatory terms, man, to describe those traditions. Animism, you look at that animism. So, and they was a misinterpretation of when they were seeing certain things, and they started saying, they just started using this word animism to describe African traditions. You know what I'm saying? So I just removed myself from those terms and trying to champion this word. I even give the definition of what kimoyo and kind of go into some things, because we got that from Fukiya, who's resides in, he's an ancestor now, but people was in Central Africa. But I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
It's all right, you preaching. So when we say, I don't really necessarily I understand the issues that you have with the terms. And as a matter of fact, like in the book, the first thing that I deal with in that religion in question book is the word religion and the etymology of it. And the fact that it comes from relegar and to bind back, or to hold back, right? But then to go a step further, I also go into the word spirit. Where does that come from, right? When you talk about spirit and soul, those words, not necessarily the concepts that we think of when we think of it, but those words that were used to represent that is nefesh and ruach, or nafs and ruh, which really just mean wind and breath. Once, that was another moment that got to me. I was like, whoa, that's all that means? So when you read things in the book, in the Abrahamic books, they have the word spirit or soul there. All they talking about is that you was breathing at that time, or that the wind was blowing at that time. So now that's a whole different thing. So I was searching for kimoyo, right? And in doing that, I was finding different things. So I started, I basically just started collecting all my knowledge on different subjects, different religions. And now I know too much about way too many different people, culture that I don't necessarily want to know about no more. But so that right there actually was my first book. One quick or two quick quirky things that I found out of that one. Actually, there's a couple. One was the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. You heard me mention earlier that I started my own church, St. Kofi Ministries, right? It's to preach Pan-African unity and learning Black history. That's the goal of St. Kofi Ministries. There's no religion involved in it. But to do that, I try to study how people start their own church, because people start their own churches all the time. And in doing that, I found out about the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And it's a funny thing. People laugh when you hear it, talk about it. It was a tongue-in-cheek thing in the first place. but it was in response to the separation of church and state. Another thing that I found was the Church of Copymism, meaning copy and paste. That's an actual church where the
Copy and paste.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to tell you, right now it's the Church of Copymism, Kopimism, Copymism, and their symbol, the religious symbol, like you see the cross or the star and crescent, their religious symbol is Control C, Control V. You look at, you know, these different things. What was the other thing that I found out about when you research and you start studying about the Church of Scientology, where they came from, the Mormonism, Church of Latter-day Saints. When you find how they came about, it's hard to believe that somebody would believe those things. But then when you think that thing one step further, it's like, well, wait a minute, why do we believe in any of these things? Because that's literally how they all came about. You know what I mean? I showed that picture with the weird symbol, the weird black symbol on right, the black rune, right, the North rune. The reason that was important, I wanted to point that out. I know we off on a bit of a tangent right now, but I wanted to point that out because of the doctrine that Hitler and the Nazis was trying to create, right? The pure Aryan race. Now they used that term, they misinterpreted that term and started using it for themselves. So the word Aryan for them don't even fit. But you know what I'm talking about when he said the Aryan race. They were really talking about the pure Nordic race, which he used that term more often. The Nordic races, they believe, were the original races of the earth. They came down from the ice storm, you know, the ice meteor that came and crashed and created everybody. And they were the pure Aryan race, Nordic race, descendants from the Vikings and Atlantis. Now, all of the doctrine that you hear people talk, I ain't going to go too hard on Atlantis and the folks that rock with Atlantis, but most of it comes through the whole Nazi thing and why they even believed that there was a thing in the first place. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy. But I use the Norse rune as an important thing because we talk about white nationalism and them using their religious thing to undergird their fundamentalist actions. And you see them at the Capitol thing using the symbols of ancient Norse gods. You feel me? It's the same, and those are neo-Nazis, by the way. That is their flag. That's the neo-Nazi flag. Instead of using the swastika, they use that Norse rune now. We were talking about the religion thing and how I was finding different things. It was comparative religious study, and I was just comparing different doctrines and how they match up, how some things actually may have come from other things, and you know, people need to start being honest and just admit that they might be just following mythology. And so that book was a little fun to write.
What year that book was published, Brother Lion?
That might have, I may have misspoke. I think that one actually was 2015. I think the next one was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where can, if anybody wanted to try to get any of your publications, where would they be able to purchase your books?
Right now, you can. A couple of them are on Amazon. We have a store here in Buffalo called Zawadi Books. Zawadi, Zawadi Books, Buffalo, New York. I'm sure they have a website or they're on Facebook. You can check them out. But my primary focus right now is I'm going to switch all my books over to your publishing company, and so they can get in touch with you to get my books within the next couple months.
Okay, y'all heard that first. So we'll be housing some of Brother Lion's book. You know, we here to help, we here to support other Black entrepreneurs. So y'all be on the lookout. I'll be probably as soon as we get all that figured out and get everything uploaded. I'll probably be online promoting it. Where I'll be back online. I'm finna take me a little break soon, but yeah. Once we get it worked out, we'll be announcing it. So if y'all interested in purchasing some of his books later on, if you know, y'all can just hit the link. And appreciate Brother Brandon, man. He just purchased 2 books, man. So appreciate you. He purchased Chavis, he purchased one of your books, and he purchased one of my books, man. So appreciate the support, man. Appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man, you kind of talked about it a little bit, man. We know what your role is, but you can kind of reiterate in it, man. And then, yeah, what is your role in the UNIA? Yeah, just kind of touch back on, you kind of mentioned it briefly a while ago, but can you touch on what your role is? And can you touch on just touch on your role and what is some of the benefits, man, of joining the UNIA?
Well, I mean, primarily, I always say that there is no greater honor for the African than the unification and upliftment of African people. And when we look at the movements that unified us, for me personally, the Garvey movement was the national movement, right? When we talk about the red, black, and green, I see it's in your logo. It's in everybody's logo. The reason the logo is because of the Garveyites of the 20s that came together. 20,000 Africans came together from over 40 countries around the world to vote on the Constitution, national anthem, the pledge, the Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World, and of course, the beautiful red, black, and green flag. So it's my role. I was, like I said, I was the Minister of Information. I'm no longer, but it's still the same role. Is to teach people about the UNIA ACL, hopefully get people to understand what it was about, what we are still about. It's about unification. It's about nation building. Although the book that I'm currently writing is about evangelical nationalism as a problem.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. We forgot that. I forgot to, go in on that. Go in on what you're working on.
I'll make it work. You see, I slid that joint in there. Don't worry, we're gonna make it work.
I sure apologize for.
Well, like I said, although the current book that I'm working on is about white nationalism, specifically white evangelical nationalism here in America, and how it's a detriment to our people, and then by extension around the world. But I am firmly a Black nationalist. Although I am a very vocal and sometimes militant atheist, I also, as the president and former administrator of the UNIA ACL, I scream one God, one aim, one destiny with my full chest. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what you believe, you know what I'm saying, you still the African people. We supposed to still be together. We supposed to have to figure out a way to govern ourselves. Otherwise, like you said about the one word, we don't have no agency with that. We got to have agency with whatever we decide. One of the things that the Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World says is that we declare all rights, you know what I'm saying, in anything racial. Okay, so it don't matter what it is. If it has to do with our race, we determine whatever the outcome is, whether it's positive, negative, we make that determination for ourselves. That right there, I used to call myself an evangelical fundamentalist Pan-African minister. That's right, because I preach Black nationalism, and I get caught up talking for hours on that. So salute. I see a lot of fire and black fists in the chat. So race first to the whole squadron.
That's right, race first. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I ain't mean to interrupt.
No reason. No interrupt. I do say race first. Let me just clarify. Some people don't understand what that is. We say race first because we're supposed to have race first in our mindset. In all things that we do. It doesn't matter what it is. When we do the thing, we have to have our race on our shoulders. You know what I'm saying? We know that we represent, like I said earlier, when we talk about morality, I represent my mother and father, and I can't misrepresent them in the public and have people knowing that I am their child, because that would be a disservice to them, right? We need to do that for each other as a people. When we see ourselves and love each other as a race first, you know what I'm saying? All of the other things will fall into place, and that's not coming from me. That's a Marcus Garvey quote. So that's the goal. Just so I can freestyle and jump into the book real quick. It is called The Fundamentalist. I may have a subtitle to that. I'm still working on it. It's basically the premise is only fundamentalists believe in religion fully, despite how people may feel about it. The other premise is that all hold on one second, it's coming up here. Yeah, fundamentalism is destroying the world. Fundamentalists are the only ones that truly follow scripture as literal and infallible. Okay. Also, these things also control world governments and their decisions, specifically war. All religious cults at their inception had a priest class or someone who had some sort of secret doctrine. Remember, most religions started at a time when people couldn't read. So the only people that could read would have been the priest class. The only people who would know the secrets and the reasons things were formed in the first place would have been those people who had the secret knowledge from the beginning. They didn't necessarily always tell us those things. And even that may be true to this day. We may still not know. Christian nationalism is fundamentalism in itself. And I believe that all religions began as cults. I'll be discussing all of those things in my book and dealing with logical fallacies. A lot of time in debate and argument, logical fallacies are brought up. I have compiled some African proverbs and Black African American proverbs that basically teach the same lessons, moral lessons that all religions teach. So if we there's one actually that says, if you know Proverbs, the man that knows Proverbs knows how to solve a situation. I believe that's in somewhere in Nigeria, one of the Nigerian proverbs there. So that's the real quick thing about the book. So you get back to what you were saying.
Okay, give us the name of the book, your up and coming publication again.
Yeah, the title will be Fundamentalist. I believe I will have a or The Fundamentalist, and I believe I'll have a subtitle. I just haven't figured out the exact wording of the subtitle, but you will have it as soon as it's done.
Okay. When no pressure, but that's something that I got to work on myself. I'm working on it. I'm definitely working on it this year because I'm burnt out, so I ain't got no choice but to work on it. But when the book is expected to come out, you might not have a date in that, and we just do dates, and when we do dates, I be about to pull my hair out. That's why I'm saying I'm finna stop with, the book is gonna be released on such and such, such and such month, such and such date, and it'd be so much pressure, but trying to, you finish up the book, especially when you got a whole lot of other stuff that's going on as well.
Well, I can say it's funny though. Like, see, I just now hired you as my publisher, and here you go. Where's the book? No, no. The funny thing is, my intention when I first started was to have it done by last week before we actually met. But that, like you said, pulling hair out, and my hair is pretty long, so I don't got time for pulling that now. So I had to chill. I really had to step back and like, okay, just don't. There's no need for it to be done by this date, so just relax. And the good thing about that was I ended up finding out a couple other things. A couple things happened in world history in that time, and I was able to find out about a couple things I wasn't aware of. So new information is still coming in to fill out the book. So it should be soon. It definitely should be within the next month or two. I have a lot down. It was difficult getting the order together because I want to be able to respond to a lot of people's questions. One of the questions, you mentioned something about the agency over a word. I've heard that people have told me that you couldn't possibly be atheist because atheism was created by a white man. Africans can't be atheists. Like I understand where that comes from, right? But there's no real logic behind that, right? Because all you gotta do is take away the word atheist and you use the word non-believer or someone who does not believe, and then now what? You know what I mean? But we will deal with some of those. I have different ways that I'm gonna deal with that in the book, though.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. This is last and final question, man. You kind of talked about it all through, really kind of all throughout the interview / bill, man. But what is it? What what do you think? I want to see what you think. What is it going to take, man, for all of us to see the bigger picture and unify, no matter what group, organization, religion, or non-religion? I mean, we done seen, you were part of the UNIA, and we done seen that with unification of us, no matter what organization or what religion or non-religion that you belong to, unifying, we was able to accomplish a lot of things, man. And so what do you think right now in this day and age and time? What is it going to take, man, for us to unify? You know what I'm saying? Despite what group we belong to, organization, religion, or non-religion.
That's a tricky question, man, because I was really excited when I got involved in UNIA, specifically because it was getting close to the centennial, 100-year anniversary of the red, black, and green, and whoa. And so I was really excited. I thought that this was going to be the rebirth when I found it, because I didn't know. I was looking for something, and that was it. I was like, oh, let's go. That's the thing right there. When I really started researching the UNIA and finding out that, it was like I said, I had a thought that, we are a new tribe, basically, the tribe of the Malapa. And I started finding out about Garveyism and things like that. I'm like, yo, it's already there. So for me, it was simple to just do it. But I've noticed in my conversation and trying to get people to unify, religion is one thing, based on, I can't work with somebody who's unequally yoked. I just saw a post today from a pastor who, when he found out I was a Muslim, called me, like, what did he say? He basically said I could never be redeemed and there's no righteousness in me anyways, right? But he's an activist pastor out there in the world marching with everybody, right? Also, some people feel like we deserve what we're going through. Now, that's the worst detriment for us as a people, and that's the sad part, because way more people than you may think feel like we deserve to be in the situation that we're in, world. And the only solution should be, not just is, but the only solution that there should be is that a supernatural being come down and save it. So to most of us, and I'm gonna say most Black people, the majority of Black people don't feel like there's actual solution to this. That's not supernatural.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I have those conversations with people at time. When I go to the barbershop, I don't necessarily, I be wanting to get in and get out, but my cousin with the scheduling, that's what the whole purpose of a schedule is, for me to get in there and get out. But at times I find myself, I'm there for my appointment, but it might be 30 minutes or an hour before I get in the chair, even after I made the appointment. And so I have to listen to a lot of the conversations, and a lot of those conversations be exactly there. A lot of people believe that, exactly what you said, man. They don't believe that there's no solutions. You know what I'm saying? We should be going through what we going through for whatever reason that we going through, and a lot of it is based around religious talk. Certain things that happen within the biblical narrative is why we are going through what we're going through, and we're supposed to be going through this. But hey, it's a after here is a better place. God is coming to save us. I just hear a lot of stuff, man. We deserve what we getting right now because we are some of the wicked. I hear a lot of stuff, man, and it's heartbreaking. And sometimes I get into conversations, and sometimes I just hold my tongue, man, and I just listen, man. You know what I'm saying? To what some of our people are saying, man. But it's sad, man. So you don't believe that that'll never happen, that we'll never just unify them?
Man, I don't want to always say that out loud, bro, because I want to hope that we can get it rocking. But I mean, oh yeah, somebody laughing at the barbershop. I just to the point about the barbershop. Think about that though, even the schedule thing that you mentioned, you was making another point, but think about the schedule thing. That is a stereotype that's been rocking with Black folks for our whole thing. Is colored people time. We can't start nothing on time, right? And despite every effort, we have not yet been able to deal with that, right? And another thing, Black on Black crime, and we can't have nothing Black without some sort of something happening, right? I be telling people yo, Black on Black crime ain't even a thing because you do crime where you live, so it's gonna be whoever you live around. We live around Black folks, so that just makes sense. People don't understand that. But look at what happened at the Oscars just the other day, right? So that was the first time the Oscars was produced by a black dude. So the first time a black dude holds something, black on black crime. So no matter what you feel about signaling and Hollywood people, you know, we fit in stereotypes based on religious doctrine that's doing a detriment to us, and we're gonna mess around. I believe that some folks would be fine with us actually walking back into slavery.
That's crazy. Yeah, I still got hope, man. I know, you know, people say I'm naive at times, you know, and I am naive at times, but I still got hope. I may not see it, you know, during my existence, but we may wake up, man, and
Here, let me give you an example. I think to answer your question a little bit better, you know, I think in order for that to happen, it has to be a catastrophe. Something terrible would have to happen where we would have to be forced to come together, and there's no other option, right? The problem with that is we just had that situation. We just had the COVID thing, and we just watched black folks actually say that folks deserve to die, and that this is a plague sent down from the supernatural thing. And you see what I'm saying? As opposed to, like, one of the things, if you notice on that slide that I sent you, I'm not sure if it actually came through, but we came out with, you know, I see you have your book on the COVID situation and informing people. You know, we was creating masks and had hand sanitizer. New York State, Cuomo actually had the prisoners create hand sanitizer. We had our hand sanitizer out on the market a month before they had theirs. Okay, and we talk about being proactive and trying to help the people. It was people that was like, yo, let it happen. You feel me? As a matter of fact, that was one of the right-wing evangelical talking points. That's what they still to this moment saying, just let people just die. You feel me? Like, they're okay with it. It don't matter what you feel about vaccines and all of that. That's not what I'm talking about. Whichever side of that you on. But they say a couple people said that they would not mind dying in this. You feel me? And it's like, as opposed to coming together, we could have built our own healthcare system during those last 3 years. You feel me? We could have had our own healthcare system right now, but people wasn't being resistant to things. We could have had our own. Do you remember when Trump was in office? The government shut down 3 times. Right? Our black government. I have people right now. The video I told you, I was just on a call the other day. Them fools was on there for 8. I didn't mean to call them fools. My bad. Rewind. Edit that part out. They was on there for 8 hours trying to discredit the UNIA and Marcus Garvey. What are you doing? It's 100 years after Garvey. The flag is here. Unified. Let's go do some things. Right? But that's not the mindset that our folks is in. The crabs in a barrel thing has never, that's the most profound description, because we love doing that. We love staying at the bottom so we can complain, because that fits with the victim mentality of the subjugated in these myths.
Yeah. Well, man, that's all I have, man. I appreciate you, man, for allowing me, man, to build with you, to interview, you know, share a little something with you. You share a little something with me and in the audience, man. For people, man, that may want to reach out to you again, or may want to get your publications until we able to get everything over here, man, can you give them you know, all your I mean, whatever you got, man, if for how people to reach you, man, how to able to, wherever they able to get your publications from.
Well, right now, the easiest way to catch me is you can just send me a message on Facebook, or just link up on a couple of the Facebook groups. We are, like I said, the logo that you see up there, Montgomery Boroughs Division UNIA 433. We have the Buffalo UNIA ACL Historical Society page on Facebook. We also, for local Western New Yorkers, we've created the Black Buffalo Business Database. That's also a page based on our the database app that we created. So yeah, I would say everybody know me. I'm Lion Blyden, Lion Aking Dele Blyden on Facebook. St. Kofi Ministries is on there. And always you can link up with Brother Kofi.
All right. Yep. So, man, there you have it, man. Hold on. Let me change my darn camera here. Hold on. All right. All right. So I said ETM Hotep in the beginning, which means bring forth peace. So now I'll say Shemin Hotep. Shemin Hotep just means to depart in peace. Again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, you know, and checking out what me and Brother Lion had to offer the audience today. I hope somebody was able to learn something or better understand something that they, you know, that they didn't fully understand. And you know, I do appreciate it. I don't know. Hopefully the brothers will be able to keep the channel going. I may come back and talk about, I don't know if the night or maybe tomorrow. It just all depends on how I feel. I may come back tonight and talk about why y'all probably ain't gonna see me for a while. But but anyway, man, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. I want to say peace and Black African power, man. And man, we'll see y'all when we see y'all. I'll leave y'all with Oluwase Black Coffee, man. We out of here, man. Peace.
Blue Top.
Straight to the paper, snatching makers, man, I'm all in. With precision like lasers, my aims to annihilate my targets. Regardless of what you call it, it's nothing less than greatness. And how I define what great is, you can't fake this. My statements fall on deaf ears, those with wisdom embrace it. This marathon I'm racing, consistent path, persistence, and dedication. I favor amongst my peers, cause I appear with proper preparation. Be getting my shit together, my people need reparations. My whip need tent and leather, my tribe spread worldwide through every American ghetto. What the pot called the ghetto for lessons of places I can't settle. Descendant of West Africans, here to let it be known I ain't having it. 5,000 handy hundred out to the establishment. Got them hoes scared, still look like the Million Man mannequin challenge. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Check my balance, I'm Iron Mike, you Cicely Tyson. The Lord is pure as enticing. Crazy how niggas that hate me wanna be just like me. The mind's awakening and it's the perfect timing to shine bright ideas. Tired of working 9 to 5s, you gotta grind where I live. Through the rain, sleet, snow, chiefin' heavy on that dro. AC blowing snow, audio intellectual. Whoa, them niggas iffy, huh? Claim he had the blicky, huh? They got the telling you ain't gangster, just a trippy cunt. Stop letting the media mold your views of black culture. Cut off all supply to those ravenous vultures. High voltage and high power. They say you either have it or you don't, and I got this. The lockwood locksmith and weaver roll wizardry. Wizard dry pussy in hell on all my enemies and all pretenders. Claiming they ain't feeling me. Old nigga, the blood, no loss in my genetics. Fibonacci spirals with the smoke, excellent methods. Excel beyond all limits. Frustrated deep excel on y'all niggas. Future double XL freshman. Although in my realm I'm a veteran. Seems some of y'all haven't got the message. I'm divine by design, nigga. This was destined. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream, nigga. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. No sugar, no cream. The Black Messiah in fly attire. Heads a fly fire, get a signal, beware that'll bullshit you. Flat rap.